folks to break down some Niners football, in particular the quarterback carousel that's going on right now.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of questions right now in San Francisco about the quarterback. Blaine Gabbert had a pretty solid game against the Falcons, but the real question is what are the 49ers going to do with Colin Kaepernick and that huge contract?
Well, I think they have to look to trade him. See what they can get. He's not going to be a huge attraction, but for some teams, maybe. There's already talk about him going to the Jets. There's been speculation about Philadelphia, but we'll see what happens with Sam Bradford. He could be a free agent, Bradford, that is, after the end of the year. The Eagles could be in need for a quarterback. But let's get to this game. The Niners get a W against a Falcons team who struggled. Last week they lost to Tampa Bay at home. The week before they won 10-9 against Tennessee. They're not playing good football and they're eking out wins. They lose on the road at San Francisco to a San Francisco team. Give credit to their defense because their defense kept them in a lot of games this year, and this was one of them that the defense was able to come out with the victory because of the way they played. And we'll get to Gabbert too, but you got to give their defense some credit first.
Yeah, their defense played really good. This was definitely a very high-powered Falcons offense, and they really stopped Devonta Freeman. He had just 12 carries for 12 yards.
Yeah, up front, Quinton Dial, Ian Williams, Eric Armstead. They run a 3-4. They're not the best for front seven in the league, but you have linebackers in, Navarro Bowman, Ahmad Brooks. Those guys are veterans there. Yeah, you mentioned Devonta Freeman had been I believe he was the leading rusher within 5 or 6 weeks of the NFL season. Now those numbers are starting to trend. That explosive offense we saw in the beginning of the year is starting to dial down a bit.
Definitely. But I'm telling you, Ryan, he just struggled. In this game, he threw for over 300 yards, and Julio Jones, I believe, had over 100 yards receiving.
Yeah, he had a monster day.
But you can't just throw to him all day. You have to get the other people in the mix. Look at Roddy White. He hasn't done anything this year.
Yeah, well, let's bring it back now over to the quarterback situation for the Niners. Let's not get too awry here. Really, what did you like from Blaine Gabbert on Sunday? He made some nice throws. He did some nice things. But in particular, what did you like from what you saw?
I liked. He played a very good job. He played very safe, except for the 2 interceptions. But he had 2 touchdowns, both to Garrett Sellett,
the tight end.
Yeah. So he really, he played the ball safe. He really didn't try to force it. So, good job for him. This was a win that the 49ers desperately needed.
Yeah, he was a conservative play, and he had a clean pocket for the most part. He was pressured, but he got rid of the football quick. He wasn't sitting there with the ball just waiting and waiting that we've seen Kaepernick do, hesitating back there. Gabbert got rid of it. He threw it out of bounds wisely a few times. He was 15 of 25. That's a 60% completion percentage. I believe he averaged 7.4 yards per attempt. And it's not bad for his first game, but in my opinion, I think it's going to be a one-hit wonder type thing. I think the way that Atlanta's not a great pass rush team. They're at the lower tier of sacks in the NFL. A big part of Kaepernick's struggles were due to the pass rush. And Gabbert faced a team that doesn't have an elite pass rush, so a little bit is that. I'm not saying Kaepernick would have played any better, but the 2 interceptions, one of them was tipped, it bobbled off the receiver's hand. The other was a poor throw. He tried throwing it to the opposite side that the receiver was on, and then Vic Beasley, defensive end, made a heck of a play. Beasley has been a good defensive player for the Falcons. He's been disruptive, but 0 sacks for the Falcons in this game, a big part of the reason Gabbert had success.
Yeah, definitely. I also agree with you. I think this will be pretty much like a one-hit wonder. And then, they do have a bye week this week, so they get to maybe improve on a couple things, but then they play at Seattle. And
yeah, I think teams like that, he'll get exposed. This is a good game to build on or whatever, get some confidence. But I think when you get back to the drawing board and then you're up in Seattle, even though you have the bye week, it's going to be tough for the Niners, for Blaine Gabbert in particular. He has not faced the Seattle Seahawks in his career at all. We played it with Jacksonville briefly. But really, I think he did a good job throwing the deep ball. He was just 2 of 7, but he also had a few drops. He had a couple drops in this game, not just on the deep ball. So he made some good throws. He was definitely anticipating his receivers. They're definitely not in touch as you wouldn't expect them to be. Gabbert not having that much playing time. When he threw to the right, short right, he was 8 of 8, threw for 109 yards. Usually that was a fullback or a running back in the flat, and then as we mentioned, it was a pretty conservative play calling game from both quarterback and coordinator perspective. They got the ground game going too, which I think helped a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Anytime you can get, which is ironic though, they cut Pierre Thomas today.
Yeah.
So I don't, that was a brief stint he had there with San Francisco.
Yeah.
I think anytime you can get the running game going, it's going to help out your quarterback mightily, as it did this week for the Niners.
Well, it definitely will help them out, but I think will need Carlos Hyde back. I mean, this guy is the frontier leading back.
Yeah, I agree too, but for what they had at the table, they ran the ball 39 times, I believe 133 yards. A lot of runs on first and second down when you go back and watch the film. Really, when you look back at the film, it was, I think, at least in my opinion, they weren't doing a whole lot of things different than Kaepernick. I think Blaine Gabbert was just doing a better job executing on his part.
Yeah, he was. He was definitely doing a better job executing. And, Gabbert, it's going to be tough to repeat the performance that he had. He definitely, if he throws 2 interceptions against the Seahawks are going to win the game.
Yeah, even if one of them is tipped, it's not his fault, yes, but it's still, a pick is a pick, and against Seattle, a team like that with that secondary, I agree with you, especially in Seattle. The Niners haven't played Seattle well at all. But moving forward, how many more games do you think Gabbert will start for the Niners? Do you think he'll start the rest of them?
I think he'll start the rest of the season.
Of course not, barring injury.
Yeah. Unless he starts struggling, then I really can just see him starting the season, seeing what the 49ers do move forward with Kaepernick.
He also had 8 rushes for 32 yards. Kaepernick wasn't really running the ball very well this year. He kind of looked, it's kind of a combination of him not feeling comfortable. Yeah. Well, yeah, but Gabbert definitely, he looked excited out there. He was motivated to play. So I think for Niner fans, that's something you have to keep in mind. Is definitely that will to win for. At the quarterback position, that's what you need so much of. So for Gabbert to go out there and lead them to a victory, for now at least, the team is bought into him.
Yeah.
We'll see moving forward.
It's going to be tough to repeat those performances.
Yeah. All right, Logan. Well, thanks for coming in and doing the show with me today, and thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks.